We have Carpenter Ranches tour. So I'm going to pass it on over to our Yakima Chief Rep, Rob, to kind of do some introductions, and then we will share with you our tour video today.
Thanks, Nicole. Happy to be here. Happy to be with a whole bunch of carpenters as we go through a carpenter tour and some Q&A as well. So I'll start by passing it off and letting you guys introduce yourself with the Craig and Brad screen. Hi guys, how you doing?
Good morning, Rob.
Hello, good morning.
I'm Brad.
I'm Craig.
And we're the owners here, and so we got to pay the bills, but we got some family here with us. I'll let them introduce themselves. Might want to get off of mute.
I guess I'll start. My name is Tyler Carpenter. I'm responsible for a number of different things on the farm, including running the kilns during harvest and employee safety and food safety the rest of the year.
And I'm Austin Carpenter, and me and Ty work closely on the kilns, and I oversee fertility throughout the year and pesticide applications, and oversee kilning and baling. So.
And
Wonderful.
Rob, we also today have Colton. He's over on the side. He'll drop in when he gets a little time here.
Thanks. I know you guys are busy. We're wrapping up, getting close to the end of harvest here. So thanks for making time for us and discussing what's been going on. We're going to talk a lot about this year and some of the unique challenges that it's had. But before we get into all those questions, I'd love to turn it over to our marketing team to start our video, which includes a virtual tour of your guys' farm.
Hello everybody, I'm Brad Carpenter. Welcome to Carpenter Ranches. Right here we have our old office that we still use. It's where we all grew up as 5 brothers. Come on back, we'll meet some of the family. So this is where we hang out a lot of times in the morning and have some coffee and get started for the day. And here's Austin, Mike, Craig, Chase, and we'll probably have a few more straggling in here in a bit. Here's all of it. Well, some of us brothers with some cousins back when we grew cluster hops, and that was probably what, maybe 1970 or so, maybe 68, 69. There's me sitting on my grandfather's lap, and my brother Tom, brother Steve, Mike, and Craig, and those were good times, good remembrance growing up, playing in the dirt, having fun.
When we tell Dad that we can grow hops, he always shows us this picture here. Look at those hops. I mean, I don't know, that was probably 18 bale clusters there, you know.
It's good to have you guys here today, and we look forward to showing you more of the ranch and having fun.
Who started the red Ford deal?
Dad started that. I think he bought his first red truck in '64. Always bought a red truck. He bought one yellow one, which is a 3/4 ton Ford once, and said he'd never do that again.
Look at this old hat pole here. It actually served as a pretty good function for the carpenters. Back in the day, Dad put this up. Salesmen of every type that would drop in here trying to sell something, which is fine, but when you're trying to get your work done, it's kind of tough. So Dad would say, hang your hat on this pole, please sit down and wait. When our work is done, we will talk to you, maybe, the management. There's been many salesmen that have come by and hung their hat up here, and we haven't seen them since. We're gonna head over to our facilities and kind of see, we're getting prepared for harvest here right now, but we're gonna take a look at what we're doing and get prepared for hop harvest. Come into our lair here. Craig, what's going on here? Show these guys how we pick hops.
This is a cross between a redneck and Arnold Schwarzenegger, all right? It's just separating leaves and stems from the process we showed you up front. So it goes into an arm picker, then it goes into a recleaner in the back, and then a recleaner in the very back end. It started out with the low end of the market. We didn't have any money, and we lived through a lot of years of having nothing and making things work, but we learned to build things ourselves. Yeah, I mean, you'll see used motors, used gearboxes. It didn't matter. Probably 20 to 1 on the dollar money, you know. So, but it worked out good.
Right here, Craig is adding one more contraption to separate leaves, vines, and sticks. So Craig, what do we got going on down here?
Well, this is something new we're adding this year. It's a stem separator. We've moved to the capacity of 25 acres a shift, so we really got to keep cleaning, and then it goes from here on up to the kiln.
Okay, we'll keep moving forward.
Yeah, we'll go up over here.
We're gonna follow you, or?
Either way.
We're in the old kiln, which actually had a new roof put on top of it in the 80s. We used to push kilns manually. I did that for years in the 70s and 80s. When we were growing up, Craig, we'd go to football practice, come back and push a kiln, go to football practice again 2 days, and come back, and Dad have us push kilns. So
yeah, we pretty much couldn't sweat anymore.
No. We didn't have any fat on our body either.
Oh no, that's how I got my wife. I'll admit it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how we could have got them other than that.
I got mine because you got yours, and they're sisters. So Craig's actually my brother-in-law. So.
I thought I had a great personality, but it wasn't a personality, it was this. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
So.
Yeah.
All right.
One of my dad's fun things is to plant these sunflowers around here. He really enjoys sunflowers. So this is a control room for all the kilning. Austin and Tyler, come over here, gentlemen. These two guys kind of run our kilns. Tell us a little bit about the kiln and what goes on here.
Well, I guess the biggest difference between the old way of drying hops and the way we're drying them now is some technology that's been incorporated. We're able to monitor each kiln independently and adjust temperatures and give it set points for how hot we want the hops to be, how high we allow the plenum below to reach.
And we're in the bowels of the hop kiln, so we're down under the lower part. Austin will kind of explain to you kind of what happens here.
So what we got is a system of ducting that helps separate the air out evenly to give us even pressure throughout the whole kiln, and the hops are drying above it. What that does is give you an even dry, so the hops start to dry and come down evenly, and you have the same quality throughout the entire kiln bed.
Send us your stickers. We want to fill this wall, and we need more stickers, people. So if you got one, send it our way, our Yakima Chiefs way, and they'll get it to us. But we got a long ways to go. So this facility here, Austin or Tyler can speak to it a little bit better than I, but they try to keep the floors pretty clean. At this point, it's a food grade product in our minds, hops are, and we want to keep the floor clean and keep our equipment clean all the way into the hydraulic press over there.
These here are 2019 COVID edition definers. What happens here is we drag these through the fields with a tractor. I got two guys up top with machetes. Two guys, one where Chase is at, one where Tyler's at, and what they do is they pass a vine to each other. And usually that screen's not there, but since COVID and stuff is going on this year, we're trying to keep it a little bit more safe. But what they do is pass it to each other through these diviner tires back here, and those diviner tires, they usually have a star on them, and when they feed them through those stars, it leaves the arms and the hops in the actual diviner and throws the vine out into the field. We've had these for about 12 years now. They're made out of some old hop sleds. So we built all these are the same specs, but every once in a while you get somebody that's shorter. So then we got to build these customized steps for them to be able to cut the hops on top. On our farm, this is how we pick our hops.
We are in a Saabro yard right now, and we're going to drive through this. This was a baby yard last year. It's a 2-year-old, and I want you to just enjoy the sights and sounds of this yard. It's such a beautiful yard. So here we go. These things are about a couple weeks from being ready, but some of the cones are actually ready right now. Let me try this one right here. So yeah, this is a Saabro cone. Very unique aroma to Saabro. And when we pick these in the machine, there's a mint peach smells. It's just unique and different from any other hop that we've picked so far. It has the Neo-Mexicanus lineage in the background of its genetics, and we're excited about this variety. It's a variety you either love or you may not like as well, but it has some very unique flavors and aromas to it. So It's a great hop. We're excited about it. Sometimes you're driving out here and parts of the day it's just beautiful. Most farmers will tell you one of the best parts of being a farmer is enjoying the environment, the land that you live on, and seeing the sights and the sounds. We want you guys to be able to see that as well at times. One of my favorite views is this view down into this area where the hops are on some hillier ground, and it just has a beautiful look to it at certain times of the day. It's good to just stop and enjoy the sights, enjoy what you do. And we truly do, as a family, love what we do growing hops. Thank you, everybody, for coming out today. We really enjoyed having you with us. We really appreciate you, brewers, and we hope to see you someday soon once this thing's behind us. We really thank you again, and have a great day.
Awesome. Nice job on the video, guys, and giving us some good visuals of just what's happening out on the farm. But where I wanted to start with our discussion, and so I'll throw this to Craig and Brad, it looks like their posse's growing inside their room there, is the origin story of Carpenter. And I know it goes back quite a ways. In that video, we talked as far back as the 60s, 1960s that is, but do you guys mind talking to us about the origin story of Carpenter Ranches?
No, not at all. I mean, we know our great-great-grandfathers settled in the Yakima Valley about the late 1860s, between 1865 to 68 or so, and settled in there and started growing hops. And that was the first hops that were grown in the Yakima Valley. And he then would grow those in a manner that he'd have to dry them himself. So he built his own kiln and would dry them and package them in a bale with a horse and a press that would compress it into a bale, and that would be delivered over into Oregon across the river. So he had to travel with a covered wagon to do that. So there's a lot of history that our family has in the Yakima Valley for growing hops. Prior to that, his dad, Orrin, grew hops in New York State, and in generations prior to that, there was hops grown in the family as well.
Awesome. So with the leadership team today, you guys talked a little bit in the video, but so how are you guys set up? And I think there's actually a couple properties, but what does Carpenter look like today, and who's running what?
Well, I'll start that off, Rob. I mean, Craig and I kind of grew up, and Dad, he's here with us today in the background, but we grew up in a way that you took responsibility for what you did, and Dad gave us responsibility at an early age to learn how to do stuff, whether it was apples or hops or whatever we were growing at the time. So it was because of that we learned about hard work. We learned about what's needed to get things done. I kind of leaned into more of the plant portion of it, and Craig kind of leaned more towards the mechanical portion of it. So that's kind of where we're at. Craig could speak a little bit more to that as well, but Tyler mentioned what he does. He's kind of our safety coordinator and works on a lot of quality issues, and Austin is on kilning as well as pesticide management and fertility, and then Colton oversees a lot of our crews and our employee relations and whatnot, and moving them around. And then my nephew Chase is involved with the mechanics, primarily of the harvest mechanics. So each of us have a unique responsibility, and we think we're getting better at it every year, our communication, our processes, and whatnot. So we really are enjoying that.
Speak to the office too, the girls.
Yeah, go ahead, speak to that.
Yeah, it also goes to the office. We have our niece Sarah is our controller, and then Brad's daughter-in-law Juliana, she's helping out, and my daughters Erica and Jessica help out also in the office. So we're pretty family oriented in terms of growing hops here all the way through.
Awesome. Well, so through all those years, there was one pandemic 102 years ago. I don't know if anybody left you any notes from back in those days, but I'm curious, just from day-to-day operations, how COVID changed this year on the farm. If you guys want to speak to some of the changes that just, the implications that it had.
Tyler, being our safety coordinator, why don't you speak to that, Tyler?
Y'all can hear me, right? Pretty much, when everything happened, we didn't get any guidelines straight off the bat of what we should do or shouldn't do. So myself, my sister Sarah, and the rest of us all kind of went looking and researching as much as we could, pulled from different resources, and then as soon as we could, early on, the N95 masks were hard to come by, so we got the next best thing and provided everybody with buffs like this and the tri-ply masks, and then we implemented temperature checks at the beginning of the day, and then just asked our employees that if you weren't feeling good, go ahead, take the day off, get yourself checked out. My uncles were they allowed people to still receive a paycheck during that time, and we used what resources we could from the federal government to help out with that at times too. So it's definitely been a challenge, but I think everybody's kind of pulled together. All of the guys, they knew from day one that, hey, to kind of right now to work is to put yourself at risk a little bit, but we weren't forcing anybody to do it. They all came, showed up. Most of them haven't missed a day, so we've been pretty blessed that way.
So no one left notes from 1918 on how hop harvest went, how those rules went?
Not at all. Not a single shred. It would have been nice, but.
Well, so Brad, I've been watching your hop crop updates with your brother Steve, but as if 2020 wasn't challenging enough, if you want to talk about some of the other challenges that came in the last few weeks and just sort of the overall 2020 harvest, how that's shaping up and what that looks like, along with sort of the Mother Nature challenges that have happened in the last few weeks.
Yeah, each harvest brings unique challenges, and we every year is different. But this year in particular, was a little more stressful in a lot of ways with the COVID situation, which I think we're addressing properly and getting through it fine. Then we had the storm that happened, and it wasn't as severe as we thought it was going to be, but we did have some crop loss to that. It shut us down because with the wind blowing, we weren't able to bring the vines in as well as we liked. And we found out afterwards, the day after, that we needed to shift our arrange our harvest a little differently, so that we went after some varieties that were hit the hardest on the east side of the ranch. And so that kind of disrupted us a little bit. We had to bring some crews in there to get some vines up real quick before they spoiled. And Craig was innovative in that and getting a diviner out there to where we could haul the crew or the vines out with a bin trailer, which is we used to pick apples, but we're able to haul them out and then run them through the diviner and get them while they're still fresh. So we were being innovative the best we could, and it helped mitigate our issues a little better in regards to quality and getting the crop in when we wanted to. But we're still seeing some of the effects of that windstorm. As of yesterday, we were harvesting some baby Idaho 7, and they were probably at least a third of the vine, Craig, maybe was dried out. And as you bring that into your machine, the machine's just working hard to separate that stuff out and the dried cones to be heading out into the waste pile. So that's always not fun to see, but that's what you deal with an agricultural commodity. You deal with weather. We also had an issue with smoke. Everybody in the valley did with the recent fires, and we're so happy to see that clear out here in the last few days. But the precautions we were taking for COVID with the mask, I think was beneficial with the smoke to lessen the inhalation a little bit more. But it was so bad at times, I think you'd want to light up a cigarette just to get a breath of fresh air. So we're glad it's gone.
Awesome. So overall, not a lot of this wind had some impact, but the smoke overall just made it for tough days, but everything is going okay?
Yeah, I think so, Craig. What do you, I mean, I think we got through it pretty good. There is some damage that will, you know, it probably lessen our crop a bit. We don't know what kind of percentage, whether it's 3, 5, or greater percentage on crop loss. It's disappointing to see a storm come in like that. You don't see that. I haven't seen that. We talked to Dad, and Dad hadn't seen that kind of a storm come through, and he's been around a long time. And we still have a beautiful crop, but it just kind of shook us up a little bit, and we just dusted our boots off and kept on going the next day. And most of the growers were making provisions to do that. So not something you want to run into every year.
Yeah, some of the Idaho 7 and the Atanum, we really had to pick it up in the machine with fans to blow out broken petals and dried hops. Like Brad said, we reduce some of the yards. We reduced acreage by planting less string, which allowed more air to flow, and the vines that were moving back and forth all day, some of them broke at the base, and that's what caused some of your dryness. And so we salvaged what we could, and I think a lot of our stuff turned out to be decent quality considering. So because we have the ability to do that in our hop picker now with the fan capacity that we put in within the last couple of years.
Got it. So how about we go through sort of a variety overview of what you guys grew this year. And if the young guys want to talk about some of their favorite varieties too, Austin or Tyler, what you guys like seeing represented in beer. But let's start with just overall, what were you guys growing?
Well, you know, we grow, you know, our Simcoe and our Citra and Mosaic. This is our first year growing Idaho 7. So it was pretty interesting hop to grow, something new to check out. We play around with a few experimental varieties that we have the pleasure to be able to grow. Those are always unique and fun to check out and see what they're all about. A variety that just got named this year, Talus, we've been growing. So it's cool to see that come around, and how it kind of, you know, on my side, learning how it grows, what kind of pressures it might have with mites or mildew, and luckily there's not a whole lot there. It's a pretty good hop to grow. The aroma's nice, so just those type of things we look at. I think we have the most acreage of Citra, and the demand for it's you know, pretty high. But luckily it's an easy hop to grow, and it's an easy hop to pick. So it's a nice one. Right now we're picking the last of our Equinox here at Carpenter Ranches, and on our other ranch that Tyler's at right now, we're in Pato, and that's usually the last variety that we pick.
So there was a reference in the video to a lot of clusters being grown back in the day. No more clusters on the farms?
No more clusters.
I don't think these guys were around when we grew clusters, but Dad's sitting over here nodding his head. Yeah, clusters were grown here, and we had, you know, maybe different variations of it. That there was an E1 or a L8. One was a little earlier, one was a little later. But I don't know, Colton, were you around when we grew clusters? I don't. You might have been.
You know, I think the early, like 86, 87. Yeah. So I was about 2 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
So we haven't grown clusters in a long time, but it was a staple here in the valley, and just about everybody had clusters until the Galenas and different varieties began to show up, a little higher alpha, and then some of the varieties that are utilized in the craft beer industry today begin to show up in the 90s and 2000s. So we may be able to make that adjustment from more of an alpha production to more of the craft beer type hops that are coming out of our breeding program.
Specifically to Talus, how did that grow this year? What's the aromas that are jumping out at you, and when is that picking window?
Well, let me jump in real quick, and I'll let the boys talk about Cole can talk about it, what it does in the field, and Austin and Tyler and Craig can talk a little bit too. But this is our second year growing it. It was babies last year. Beautiful crop. It did get affected a little bit by the windstorm on the north end, so there was a little bit of drying on the cones on the north end of the yard. But we like the way agronomically that it grows. We like the pickability in the machine, and the aromas are unbelievable. Colt, I don't know, when they came in on the machine, do you remember to tell us when they came in?
Yeah, I mean, usually, I mean, we have sweepers and mechanics in there, and if a hop, happens to have a unique smell to it, I mean, those guys in there will be walking around telling you they smell good right away. And picking wise, I mean, it was just a nice strong cone, and went through our machines like butter. So that's what we like to grow, stuff that works for our machine, and that has a nice solid cone that just and has some heaviness to it that'll drop down the dribbles and get to the kilns, as fast as it can.
Yeah. Tyler, Austin, what are your guys' thoughts on Talus?
I mean, you're right. That aroma just pops. It's got like a pink grapefruit, touch of bubble gum in there. Some people were saying lemongrass. Once it hit the kiln, it was unique. You knew it was unique, and we had kind of seen that last year while it was growing, but this year for sure, as a mature yard, it just popped. And I think as far as harvest window, I think we're right.
Yeah, I had a little bit of interference there, Tyler, but yeah, we like to pick that hop anywhere. I would imagine it's going to be harvested anywhere between the 15th and the 20th most years. It's kind of a later end of the Citra, kind of the tail end of maybe Mosaic in that time period. So there's room for it within the group of growers to grow Talus. And we really think it's going to be a great variety. Of course, it's the brewers that decide that. And from the feedback I'm getting, it seems like they're very interested in it, and they would like to be utilizing more Talus in the future. What do you think, Austin?
Yeah, I think it's a great hop. Pretty easy to grow. I mean, pest-wise, there wasn't a whole lot of pressures going on in there throughout the year. It has great yields and great aroma, and if the brewers like it, we'll continue to grow it.
Awesome. Sounds like it's a future favorite. Do you guys have a favorite variety that you grow right now that just every year it has like maybe it's a special place in your heart?
I think Simcoe has a dear place in my heart because it's a variety that helped establish a connection with some of the craft brewers early on that came up and began to ask us about the Simcoe varieties. So it has a pretty good place in my heart, and the aromas every year just are very unique and strong, and it does have a lot of variation from early pick to late pick. So it has some versatility as a hop, and during selection, some brewers may select an early lot, some may select a later lot for more pine, more grapefruit, more dankness than on the early end where there's a little more fruitiness or strawberry or, tutti fruity type stuff. But I would have to say Simcoe is still my favorite variety in that regards. It's a little difficult to pick. These guys will tell you in the afternoons when it's a little warmer that time of the year, the picker just doesn't seem to work as well, but it picks well at night and early in the morning.
Go ahead, Tyler.
I was going to say Saabro is kind of my new favorite. it grows great. The 2 yards we had this year were some of my favorites, and then yielded really well for us this year, and the aroma is right on point. And in the beers that I've had it in, I know I've heard from brewers it can kind of be a love-hate thing, but I'm definitely on that love.
So during harvest, are you guys operating 24/7? You know, you mentioned that Simcoe picking different during the day, during the night. Are you guys working round the clock hours as harvest is in full swing?
I'll let Craig talk to that.
Well, we're on two of our hop pickers, Carpenter Ranches and Warrior Ranches. We're picking as normal with our regular daytime shift, but we added a half a shift at Warrior this year. About, I think it was called a weekend harvest. Was it a weekend?
I think it was about a week. Yeah, about a weekend harvest when we started the night crew. Yeah.
And we started, a half a shift at night, and that's helped out a lot. So I don't know what the average is now that we're harvesting over there, Brad. What is the average now?
Well, from last year, we picked up our throughput about 25%, and it keeps picking up every time. Some of our issues is we harvest so quickly with the way we harvest, and it gets into the machine so quickly that our killing capacity becomes the factor. So adding a partial night crew kind of helps, and it's picked up our total acreage from about 45 acres in a 24-hour period to now we're harvesting closer to 65. So we picked up another 20 acres. So we're excited about that. After harvest each year, we get together and begin to take notes through the harvest and look at them and hash out what we can or can't do for the following year to improve our processes, what we can afford to do, and begin to build on that and get better with that process improvement. So the night crew is always a special crew because they have to be pretty talented and pretty safety is of a concern. So we've been picking in a daytimes only for about the last 7-8 years, but starting a partial night crew, I think we might be able to do that at both facilities, and that will allow us to increase our throughput even more. And that's important because if you look at the harvest windows of some of these varieties, if you get them too early or too late, it's going to have an impact on quality and aroma. So we want to be picking in that right window.
Gotcha. Well, to zoom out a little bit from day-to-day operations, curious from everybody's perspective what the most rewarding part of being a hop grower is, as you think about just at the end of harvest, as you sort of zoom back and think about what the year brought you and what it's all about. What's the most rewarding part of being a hop grower?
Austin, why don't you start that and go to Tyler, then we'll come back into our viewpoint.
I enjoy working outside and working with the people that we work with. That goes from the farm level and the family employees that we have all the way out to the brewers and the customers. It's a great industry to be a part of. And there's a lot of history to it with us. So I really enjoy working with my family and just being able to experience growing hops and meeting new people every year and just seeing the joy that our hops bring to brewers and drinkers all over the world is a pretty cool thing to be part of.
Yeah, for me, hop growing definitely brings challenges, different challenges every single day. So it's always something a little bit different. And then getting to work with family. I share an office with my grandpa, so getting to hear and learn from him is extremely important. And not many people get that opportunity to work with family like we do. So it's pretty cool.
Craig or Colt, go ahead.
You know, I don't know if you guys have been watching our Facebook page lately, but we've been having Hop Star every day, and just to realize, you know, not only how much time our family has put into the ranch, but also, you know, just guys that have been on the ranch for 30, 40 years that have helped us get to this point. So, I mean, for me, I just, you know, I like growing hops, but I also just, you know, enjoy during harvest, you know, we have sometimes there's husbands, wives, and a kid or two kids, you know, and just watching, you know, families out there with us harvesting our crops, you know, and knowing that you're helping the community out is something that I like to see during harvest.
Great.
Yeah, we have one guy that's been out here. It's his 55th harvest this year. Joe Torres, he's out in front of the hop picker there. He's needing hip surgery, but he's still directing traffic and calling us when there's a problem. And I think that's pretty cool. So he's out here. What I like about it is just family, being a part of it, being a part of history, being a fifth and sixth generation hop growers, and also, you know, working with my nephews and my sons and my daughters and my nieces. You just can't beat it, you know, and also watching our grandkids. They're all, you know, all the same age, Brad and mine, and they're all coming up through the system, and I think there'll be plenty there to take it to the next realm, whatever that'll be. So, but we know, Dad told us at one point, I don't care what you do, look down the line, look to the future, you know, and that's what we do with those grandkids. We're looking at the future, and we continue to build, because that's what it takes to be able to support everybody. And that's kind of my joy, and I think it's Brad's too.
Yeah, I would add to that it wasn't always that way. The craft industry has really allowed us to be able to build into infrastructure and new processes to help us get quality hops. And watching that process develop, meeting with brewers and understanding their needs, and utilizing the expertise of the employees at Yakima Chief to help accomplish that goal of our vision to connect the brewer with our farming families is truly a story that is real. It's not anything that is la la land out there. So watching that process, watching what was developed by early, like my dad and Mike Smith, the Peralt family, and others, to help build a foundation to launch off of what success we're having now is important. And we always look back to that and realize that it wasn't always fun. There was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that were involved in the 60s and 70s and 80s and whatnot. And so it's really a pure joy to see the blessings that we're having now, but it's always improvement that needs to happen, always things that need to develop. So each year, those processes need to be refined and developed even further. And it's great being with our employees and our family members because of the abilities that they have to see where we may have issues and helping us resolve those. So watching that whole process has been great, and we look forward to being able to do that for many years to come.
Yeah, in the video, I think it was referred to as the lean years. And I think those trying times certainly build up some appreciation. And I'm not sure if you would categorize my favorite photo of Carpenter Ranches that happened during the lean times, but there's a photo in your guys' room up there of a 1970s Lincoln hauling a bunch of hops during a harvest. Do you guys mind explaining what happened? And I'd also like to point out, thank goodness somebody actually took a photo of that because it's not like everybody had smartphones back in those days.
Yeah, that was a 79 Lincoln, and we put up some heavy duty shocks and some truck tires, and we were pulling trailers in. So it worked. You know, it was a $700 rig, and it was getting the same mileage as our old trucks were. So and that specifically, that trailer there was one of the Peralt trailers. Because it was a heavy trailer. I drove over to their ranch. I hooked up to one of their trailers and pulled it in down LaRue Road into their ranch there, and Steve Peralt took that picture and sent it to me. So because we were test driving that at the time, and then we come back and hauled quite a few loads with it. So that worked out pretty well, and it was you know, another cross between a redneck and Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think it worked out pretty good.
Is there any coincidence that that's a red Lincoln along with the red trucks?
It was painted red. Yep.
So in the video, there's mention of the one purchase of a yellow truck. What was wrong with the yellow truck? Why are all the trucks red? What's wrong with a nice yellow truck?
Well, that yellow truck was too stiff to begin with. It was a 3/4 ton, and Dad purchased that and probably, I think it was 73, and drove it for a little while, but then he got back into a red 1/2 ton, a little more comfortable, I think.
Gotcha. So I just always appreciate the fun stories along the way. Any other sort of fun stories that just along the years that stick out that that make you chuckle or make you chuckle from those hard times, or some recent ones from Austin or Tyler?
I guess for us in these recent years, it's just been a little bit of growing pains. So we put up some new facilities, and just learning those facilities compared to our older ones that you're used to. There's been times where we, you know, have been filling up all the kilns that we have and dumping a few more and refilling them all on that same day. And so it's just learning a lot like that. But there's stuff that goes on and every single day that's pretty fun. I work with some pretty good guys in the kiln, and we're together, you know, majority of the day, every day. And so we get to having fun. And my Uncle Mike comes in and kicks it up a little bit with his puns, if you guys ever see our Facebook, so that you could see a lot of funny stuff going on there. But what about you, Ty?
Oh, I was just thinking about, you know, brand new facilities. And the first ever test run you and I did in a brand new kiln, we had it dried and everything was going good. And I think I was trying to get like a fantasy draft happening or something like that. And you said, no, I got it. I'll press the button and go. So I walked down the stairs, and then you come running out and say, hey, come here. Went back up, and I think the dump roller, we had expected something like a 5-horse motor, and somebody had put a 1/2-horse motor on. So the very first kiln of hops we ever did on new facilities, me and Austin and a couple of buddies had to push it off by hand.
Yeah, that's right. It was instead of a 5-horse, a 1/2 horse, and it just wasn't gonna work.
Cool. You got any
funny stuff about harvest?
Yeah, that was one question.
I don't know. Every day dealing with this many people, something hilarious happens. But I think you caught us at my mind's kind of numb right now because we're about 4 weeks into harvest. So usually I got a ton of stories, but right now I'm having a hard time coming up with something.
The Lincoln says it all. That photo just, well, has me forever. I love that one. Well, just a quick reminder, if anybody has any questions, they can type them in the Q&A. We'd be more than happy to answer those. But I'd like to give Colton, Craig, and Brad sort of the last word on sort of what key takeaways, you know, for a craft brewer that's been around a while, or maybe a newer craft brewer, if you could take away anything from Carpenter Ranches, what would those takeaways be, and what would you want people to remember about you guys and what you've built?
I would say that if we were to go back 20 years from now and see where we're at and where we're at today, that is primarily, if not mostly, due to the craft brew industry, the creativity of the craft brewers, what they're doing with new beers, new flavors, different hops, and the connection that we have with them is how we want to be connected to the brewer and remembered in that regard, as well as that we are a family and we treat each other as such. This is a business, we have to make it work, but we enjoy each other, we enjoy our company with each other, and we enjoy our relationship with the brewers and their customers. This COVID thing's kind of threw that way out of whack this year. Therefore, we're on a screen talking to you, but we truly do enjoy that connection, and we want that to continue, and we want to be a part of that ride that these brewers are having into the future. So that would be my story. I'm not sure what we're going to try to bring my dad in here real quick, maybe if you want to, but shaking his head, but just say hi real quick and
Brad lets you quit. Take your mask
yeah.
off. Take your mask off.
He might have to stand up here.
No,
you can sit down.
What you up to here anyway?
They want you to say hi and what the hop industry or what you want to be known from our family is in regards to the hop industry, Dad.
Well, I think as it relates to me, I think of from start to finish, I'm really proud of being a part of something that's been successful. And you've seen enough here today to know that I'm a little part of it, not a big part, but I'm sure proud to be a part of it. And I know now, as some of you know, I lost my dear Betty recently, but her and I'm confident in knowing when I look at this that we're in good hands, and we go, it's going to be continued, and that's very important to us. We're very proud of our family, the interaction between them, right down to our littlest grandkid. Everybody loves one another like they're supposed to, and it's a part of our whole operation. And not only that, we've developed some wonderful, wonderful relationships with others in the industry that are important. We're important to each other, and we got to pull together. And I think that now is a part of our culture in the hop industry. And we have been a part, I mean, the Yakima Chief Group has been a part of making that teamwork understood. And as long as we can continue to build on that, we're going to be fine. And I'm truly proud to be a part of that. And I'm proud that you'll have to forgive me, but my dear Betty was a key part of making it all work. And I'm so proud of her, even though she's gone. So at the end of the day, you'll have to forgive my emotions, but boy, we are fortunate and blessed, and I know it. And I better shut up right there.
Thanks, Dad. Well, that's making me cry there for a bit. But as you can tell, family is important to us, and we enjoy what we do, and that's really our story in a few words right there. So it was great being a part of this process this year in this virtual Zoom, and we look forward to seeing Brewers one-on-one again next year.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I appreciate you getting Mr. Carpenter there and having him speak. And I appreciate all of your times. And I know it's busy out on the farm. I appreciate everybody sharing their own personal, unique stories. And I think this is a good spot to for all of us to get back to work and make sure that we just continue going on.
Thanks, Rob. We appreciate it.
I'd like to turn it over to our marketing team if they have any final thoughts or if they have a sign off.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Thank you all for popping on this session today. And again, thank you so much to the entire Carpenter family. I'm still like cleaning up some tears here. That was amazing to see the family, and I'm so thankful to be a part of it here at Yakima Chief. So thank you guys. And just a reminder, we recorded this session. It'll be available here within the hour on virtualharvest.com. We will also post the grower tour video as well as on YouTube, and I also posted a link to our current grower profile video, which will be fairly similar to the one we just viewed today at Carpenter Ranches, as well as the rest of our growers. And if you do have any follow-up questions, feel free to email brucecole@yakimachief.com. Other than that, again, thank you all so much for taking the time to be on the call today. All of you guys, especially thank you, Tom. So I hope you guys all have a great day, and we'll talk to you all soon. Bye.
Okay.